Welcome back to another Zero Context Patreon Stark, advertising my Patreon content one out of context theater moment at a time. I started the month off with the rest of Mile High before jumping into Meet Me Halfway. Finally, on the last day of June, I did my absolute favorite thing ever, which is to do literally one post of a new book. That book was the third installment of the Up in the Air series, Grounded. Even a Dom sub relationship is more than simply about ownership. It's a relationship that needs to have a steady foundation of trust, and I hope that I don't have to explain to you that trust is a two-way street. And right now, the only thing that I'm seeing here is that James expects Bea to jump on literally every single Richard that's offered to her. How the hell can she expect for him to teach her how to do bondage or spankings and for her to be safe? James can't even trust her to have a horse lesson. My dad has been like this for my entire life. Will you blame yourself for all of the other times as well? You must see how illogical that it is. Look, I'm not saying that James is at fault for Bea's abusive father for beating the snot out of his wife and daughter. All I'm saying is that James went out to kick a hornet's nest and is surprised that Bea got stung. He's treating the relationship like going to the car dealer and buying a new car. He's forgetting that Bea's opinions matter in this relationship. I keep saying this, but he's deciding for Bea what they should do and the things that she wants, including literally not even being in a relationship with him, doesn't matter. Even though she now wants to be with him, she still doesn't want much to do with him. He's pushing her into a relationship. She's telling him to put the brakes on. They go out horseback riding. After they get into the forest, James pulls Bea onto his own horse demon and cuts her jeans away, leaving her only in assless chaps. They then bang, while riding the horse. It isn't the worst sex scene that I've read. That still belongs to the House of Night. I've mercifully never managed to top that, but this is probably in the top 10 worst sex scenes. What the fuck were you thinking? James burst out the second he shut the door from the garage into my kitchen. Do you like giving the world a fucking show? Will you come to the hotel with me today? You can do a spa day while I get a few things done. The forgive me stage of abuse. Where after they've slammed you into the wall or whatever, they show up with flowers, chocolates, a new puppy, and beg that you forgive them, that it'll never happen again. Girl, he may not have hit you, but you should trust your instincts. You were scared shitless of him, weren't you? 2 years or so, and he stopped dating and hooking up at least 6 months ago so that you would take him serious when he asked you out again. He thought that the fact that he's a slut is what kept you from seeing him as more than a friend. I don't know who needs to hear this, but sometimes it has nothing to do with literally anything about you. Sometimes she really isn't that into you, and no amount of inner work is going to change that. Would it make you feel better to know that she's a gold star lesbian and a dominant herself? She and I are about as platonic as a male and a female can be. I blushed impossibly harder, feeling silly and ridiculous suddenly, because it did make me feel better to know that. Or else better, I was a fool. What is a gold star lesbian? I asked him. Never been with a man, never even thought about it. She liked you. I could tell. I should probably be the jealous one with the way that she was looking at you, but I'm not. She's too good of a friend. She may be envious of what we have, but she would never cross the line. She knows that you're important to me. I am 100% okay with Bea being stolen away from James by Hot Tat Mommy. Okay, so when Bea woke up, James sent her to the spa with her friends. We'd already established that it took around 4 hours for that. So let's say that she woke up around 7 a.m., took an hour to shower and eat, and then went to the spa at 8. That would mean that they got out at noon. Let's say that she took another hour to finish packing her bag and getting to the airport, estimating that the plane finished boarding and left an hour after that, putting the departure time around 2 p.m. Google tells me that flight times from Vegas to JFK Airport is around 5 hours, which would put the local Vegas landing time at 7 p.m., but not local New York time, which is 3 hours ahead of Vegas. It should literally be sometime after 9 p.m. right now when you factor in things like deboarding, actually leaving the airport, and don't forget about New York's famously bad traffic. Even if my estimates aren't quite right, you can't forget that there's literally 4 hours sunk into the spa and then another 5 hours simply traveling to New York. I'm fucking exhausted thinking about 9 hours, even if 4 of them were getting a relaxing massage and pedicure. I can't even imagine how Bea feels knowing that she's got to stay up longer simply to do some bullshit charity thing. As usual, I've spent way more time thinking about this than the author clearly did. No regrets. The chapter opens with James about 5 seconds away from piercing her nip noops. He barely pauses to ask for her fucking consent. Throw the entire man away. However, he only stops because the healing time she would need would be inconvenient for him rather than because it wasn't something that she wanted. The dude literally asked her to move in with him a week after knowing each other. I don't know why she's somehow surprised that he's already talking about marriage. I felt myself falling, once again, so deeply under James's intoxicating spell that some part of me just couldn't trust him. I wouldn't exactly say that it's a bad thing. As I keep saying, this guy has bad news written all over him. He literally started his relationship with me by demanding that she date him and then molested her. He stalked her, pushed into her life, and wouldn't leave no matter what she said. The guy is not mentally well, as evident by his tattoos and changing his will. Again, this entire thing feels like a sick joke. It's obvious that the author understands the concept of rape, yet she herself wrote the meet cute between James and B, with James literally doing the same thing. I get what he's going for here, but the problem is that once the seed of doubt has been planted, it's really fucking hard to remove it. Furthermore, maybe his relationship with Jolene and any subsequent threesomes/moresomes is insignificant to James, but B is literally telling him that is a huge fucking deal to her, and he's scoffing over her literal feelings and telling her not to feel that way. Holy fucking shit. She literally got off from a 5-hour flight in which she was working. Of course, she's freaking tired. The dude is throwing a shit fit because she needs sleep. I'm terrified to find out what he thinks women do on the toilet. It must not be serious. I'm right, aren't I? You wouldn't still be working here if he was serious about you. I don't know who needs to hear this, but people can and often do have rich and fulfilling lives that don't revolve around their romantic partner, and that includes working. I was feeling good, high off of the adrenaline of kicking ass when he hit me directly in the back, sending me spinning out of control and smashing into the wall. And just like that, I was the loser all over again. Same outcome, different day. God dang, Jamie, I yelled, dropping my controller and throwing my hands up in defeat. A red shell? Really? How long were you holding on to that? In a book that opens up by warning us that there was going to be domestic abuse, I don't exactly find the entire idea of opening on domestic abuse, lol, just kidding, it's Mario Kart, amusing, and I'm positive that a lot of others feel the same. But this was worse. It reminded me of the time my college-age coworker had approached me while I was pregnant, offering to pay me for sex. My rounded belly had apparently screamed, "I'm Madison and I'm easy. You don't even have to wrap it up because I'm already pregnant. Enjoy the risk-free ride." I was still living at home and going to school, but had daycare to pay and couldn't afford to quit, so I had to continue seeing the asshole every shift. Why the hell did she have daycare to pay for when she was literally pregnant with her only child? I would ask where the editor was, but as I said earlier, there was literally none. Yeah, of course, we had a great time. He missed you, though. He beat some time record on Rainbow Road and turned around to tell you before remembering you weren't home. My heart fell straight through my feet, the floor, the ground, the goddamn planet itself. Layla could have shot me and it wouldn't have torn a gaping hole in my chest as savagely as those words did. Again, Madison is choosing to work this hard simply to send him to a private school where the literal staff bullies him for being poor. I'm at my limit for sympathy for her. I didn't blame Garrett. It wasn't his fault. His size and general vibe were intimidating. The only person who deserved their blame was Aaron. We can't be scared of every man who talks to us, but that's not how I want to live, and that's not how I want you to live. We deserve more than that, don't you think? She literally told the readers that her shitty, abusive ex-husband was the reason why Jamie was so mental around adult men, and then she follows this up by telling him, "Not all men." That's why online dating is perfect for you. Put it up front that you have a kid and work a lot. Only the guys who are accepting of that will message you. Sweetie, it's honestly kind of adorable how naive you're acting about men in the online dating scene. Why did it feel like every time I climbed an inch up, something kicked me in the face until I slid back a foot? Because you're making poor life decisions over and over. I don't have any sympathy for you and your poor money management skills. I had no desire to take many guard shifts. I could use the extra income, but I didn't need it to survive. Girl, you literally had a breakdown because your son wanted to play soccer but hid it from you because he knew that you're bad with money. What were you afraid you'd do to her? I whispered. He leaned down until we were almost sharing breath. Honestly, I wanted to slap her in the face with my wiener. Wait, why would he? I blinked, speechless, until he slowly raised his free hand. I glanced down to see the still-foiled hot dog, flattened like he'd squeezed the ever-loving hell out of it and lost it. I'll allow slapping a Karen in the face with a hot dog. Explain to me why some of these records of abuse and contact are from the time you were together and some are only a few fucking years old, because I'm really struggling to wrap my fucking brain around it. I don't know how to fucking explain to you that simply because you divorce an abuser doesn't mean that you're actually done with them. The fact that Aaron has been nonstop calling her, coupled with the fact that he showed up at her doorstep, should have been proof enough of that. As in ever. My body doesn't work right, I guess. I enjoyed sex just fine, but I had to, handle things myself later. I waved it off like it didn't bother me to have spent my entire adult life feeling like I was broken. Normally, I'd say something like, sounds like you're asexual, but in this case, I'm going to say, try being with a guy who doesn't view you as an object for him to control. There'd been more than chemistry, a lot more. Mixing ammonia and bleach is also a chemical reaction. That doesn't mean it's a good one, unless you enjoy inhaling deadly gas, which kind of sums up their relationship right now. She ducks into the bathroom, but then Garrett follows her in. He practically assaults her and demands that she give in to him. Dude, what the fuck? However, this apparently was good enough for Madison. I also love it when men accost me in the ladies, said no woman ever. The fact that she's acting like this the morning after is probably a huge indicator that she wasn't ready for any sort of relationship. Full stop. This lady needs a therapist, not Richard. Chapter 18 and a half. Garrett. Literally nobody wanted this. Stop. They bang. It's literally the first sex scene in this book, and I'm already skimming most of it. Oh boy, I'm not looking forward to the rest of this book. You can support me on Patreon for only $1 a month and read the context for all of these. Plus, supporters also get early access to my regular show. I'll see you next month, guys.